Let me be very clear. Be very clear. Some of the people we are about to mention will have good fantasy years. But we're going to call this our bust show. The reason for that is we look at where they're going in drafts and if we like it or not. So it's really our overvalued show, but let's be honest with the YouTube, what they do, you got to put in bust. So, but these guys ain't going to be on our team. Are they, boss?
Not at their current ADPs.
Unless they slip a lot, then we'll take them. That's the thing. Slip. You can't draft them.
So, our cheat sheet, it is on the website. Click on the link in the description. Check it out. We're ranked. We will update that along with our rankings all the way up until the regular season. So get on there, check it out. Help us out with some likes, subscribes, all that fun stuff. Leave us some comments, which I'm sure you will on this video if there's some you don't agree with. But who's our first one? Who is it?
I don't want to start with him. I'm going to go Todd Gurley.
All right.
Going Todd Gurley to start. First of all, El Prez fans out there, you know you screwed Portnoy and myself. Whenever you took that little slide a few years ago, you got cursed. Ever since then, you've had knee issues, and that's really the problem with Gurley right now. You have no idea what I was talking about, but you know about the knee issues.
I do know about
Still is out there now. All right, 31 is where he's going, ADP. With a guy that's got these like banged up knees, had amazing seasons. The Rams were like, peace, you're out of here. We don't want you anymore, basically. I'm very nervous about taking a guy that high. You don't want any of your top picks to get hurt, and if you have a guy that could potentially get hurt, that's just a very scary thing. So at 31, I cannot be taking Gurley. If he slips, because everybody's scared, again, that's something that I might take, because like there's competitions like Brian Hill or something. Like, well, how more boring can you get than that?
Ito.
What's that?
Ito Smith.
Yeah, but Ito's never going to be like the...
I like Ito.
You would like Ito. 31, let Dustin take Ito. Such a Dustin annoying guy.
In theory.
Ito's the type of guy you pick up and you're like, text me. I mean, kind of feeling it. Should I start him?
In theory, Gurley is a great fit for that offense, but it's scary.
But he's so injury, like, his knees are terrifying. At 31? 31. He should be like 46.
A.J. Brown's our next guy, ADP around 34. If you've been watching the videos, you know I like Ryan Tannehill. You know I love the Tennessee Titans, and I love how A.J. Brown performed last year. But there's some scary things with him in terms of... So first of all, you know, PPR versus standard. In standard leagues, he gets a bunt. He gets a big boost, and a lot of these guys actually do because of that. But he only had 52 catches last year. But he averaged over 20 yards per catch. He had over 1,000 yards on 52 catches. That scares me. You know, those 20-plus yard catches aren't always going to be there, especially if the defense say, hey, that guy's pretty good. We should roll a safety over.
They're watching some film this year. They're like, you know what? He might go deep.
When you have a guy like Henry that defenses just have to stack the box against. But that's another thing. What if Henry goes down? Like, it's going to make it very hard for Brown to do that if Henry goes down. So to me, that's just a little rich. I like his chances. I think he could improve on his numbers from last year. But it's just scary when I see a guy average that many yards per reception.
I was shocked he was going that high.
Yeah, that's a wide receiver 13. I mean, you're paying full price at that point in the draft. I know he's exciting, he's fun, he's young, but
let's keep on this wide receiver train. Calvin Ridley, another guy I'm going to get crucified for. Dustin assigned me the worst people ever.
We do a draft, just so you know. He picked him.
I had a bad draft. Not gonna lie, I had a bad draft. So these are our picks combined. Calvin Ridley, 42 is where he's going as far as ADP. Here's the deal. He's going around Thielen, DK, my boy Cup. That's right, my boy Cup.
And whatever.
I would take all of those guys over Ridley because guess what? Calvin Ridley hasn't been that great. I know he's going into his third year, so he's played 2 years. Both years, he's about like 60 catches, 800 yards, and sure, he gets about 7. He got 7 touchdowns 1 year and 10 1 year. So the touchdowns are nice. But 42, I mean, he hasn't blown up. And guess what? Julio is still there. Julio is going to still get the main bulk of targets. Julio is not a normal human being. He's a freak of nature, and you're going to feed the beast that is Julio.
Another freak of nature, who I will say I am excited that he's back, is Rob Gronkowski. I do enjoy his antics out on the field, but his ADP is 80. Ew. And, I mean, the year off, I mean, he
might have done it for it.
Like he's really coming back. rejuvenated, ready to go. But you look back, terrible 2016 season. Came back, great 2017 season. And then a terrible 2018 season. And now there's so many mouths to feed out there in Tampa. And they still have O.J. Howard. Like, you just don't really know how much he's going to factor in. Will he get double-digit touchdowns? Maybe. But I don't see him getting more than maybe 60 catches is where I'd put his ceiling. And with how deep tight end is this year, taking Gronk at 80 to me just doesn't make any sense. Because there's plenty of guys later, even like 60 picks later, that I feel have just as high an upside this year. I feel like it's just his name that's driving him up.
Oh, definitely. But it's going to be a lot of name drafters this year. Football's been a little weird.
He might surprise us. But just because of how deep,
I like that offense.
Just because how deep tight end is this year, I'm not touching him there.
No, I agree. I wouldn't take him there. And I got him.
Okay.
Will Fuller, next on my list. Going around pick 100. I think around pick 98 to be exact. I know Hopkins is gone. And I know, and Dustin, I will give him full credit as we were doing our little pregame. I said, let's quiz you guys. Or I won't quiz, I'll just tell you the answers. In the last 3 years, you know what he's averaged? If you combine his 3 years, divide by 2, on average, 9.3 games in a season.
Divide by 3.
Whatever, they know what I'm talking about. 4.6 touchdowns per season, 36 catches, 532 yards. First of all, he's banged up all the time. When he's on the field, it's not even that great. And where I'll give, you know what? I'm not going to give you credit. You barely even remember this. I had to remind you.
I was close.
He had that awesome stretch where everybody remembers this. Do you remember that stretch he had?
Go ahead,
Do you remember that? I'm just curious. Do you remember that?
Just keep talking so I can talk about my guy now.
Do you remember the stretch? He had like
Yes,
7 touchdowns.
I do.
Yeah.
It was a crazy stretch.
And it's why everyone drafts him so high. He's not that good.
No. And he can't stay healthy.
I already said that like 6 times.
Marquise Brown.
You mean Hollywood Brown?
Yeah. Hollywood Brown. ADP 77 right now. Extremely talented. I mean, he is going to have, and again, standard leagues, I'm more okay with that. I do think he will have a decent amount of even double touchdown days. Like, he's going to have some big plays, some big games, but you got to guess right with him because he's not going to be consistent. And one of the main reasons for that is Lamar Jackson's, he only threw for 3,100 yards last year. So, I mean, there's not a ton of passing yards to go around. Yes, Lamar Jackson's amazing. We all love him. But there's not a lot of rushing yards, not a lot of receiving yards to go around on that team. Only 46 catches last year. I mean, yes, they say he bulked up. And maybe he can be more of a possession type guy.
Oh, that's not his style.
They
say go.
It just scares me. I think he's going to be too up and down, and I don't really like those guys in fantasy.
Yeah, I was even like Deshaun Jackson in his heyday. He was great, but like I hated the up and down. I like some consistency. Daniel Jones. This is so the New York crap biased. Him going like 107 around the 15th quarterback, like. It's 100% a New York bias. He wasn't that great, first of all. And honestly, his cast of characters, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, like Sterling Shepard was like a darling like 18 years ago. Slayton, not even the one you're thinking of. Evan Ingram, like I'm not thrilled with his weapons. He hasn't looked all that great. And quite frankly, it's like, don't just take him and don't grab a guy like Lamar and then be like, in the late rounds, I'm going to back him up with Daniel Jones. He is a waiver wire quarterback in 1 quarterback league. 107 means he's getting drafted. In a 1 quarterback, 12-team league, leave him be. Stay there. You don't need him. You don't need 2 quarterbacks.
Jared Cook is next, being drafted as a tight end 1, currently going around pick 95. I've always liked Jared Cook, and on that offense, he's going to have some success. 9 touchdowns last year, but on 43 catches. That was about 1 out of every 5 of his catches was a touchdown. And could he do that again?
No.
Yeah, I mean, he could.
He could.
He
it's
could
not
on that offense, but it's just, again, the tight end position is so deep, and touchdowns can be streaky. So it's not something I want to count on, especially with a tight end as old as Cook. You know, he's still got some good years left, but it's just not someone that excites me. At 95, I would rather wait, take one of the younger guys that is just as exciting, has just as high of upside. Not for me. I think you're waiting if you're getting at that point in the draft.
All right, let's take a look at number pick 37.
Number pick.
Number pick. Number pick.
ADP.
God, I hate this guy so much. It's unbelievable. His ADP is a 37.
And who is it?
Chris Carson, Seattle.
Okay.
Here's the deal with it. They just don't like him. They don't like him. They don't want him to succeed. That's my analysis. They get Penny. He's banged up. They finally think you're going to get all Carson. All of a sudden they bring in Hyde, who had a pretty good year last year. And by the time that Penny's healthy again, they just don't think Carson's going to work, is what I feel. They've made that abundantly clear. There's always something going on. Who's that other scat back they had for a little bit?
McKissick?
Yes, they thought he was going to be the next.
He's gone.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying they always bring somebody in that gets way more hype than him.
Yeah.
So I would hate the Seattle Seahawks if I was Mr. Carson. He should hate him. And you know what? You're going to hate him if you take him at number 37. Let him slip, and then you grab him.
Still got upside, but yeah, it's scary there.
No, I mean, he could be good. I'm just saying at 37, it's like, I'd rather have the guy that the coaches actually feel like they like.
The guy I'm probably going to get the most hate for is
and he waited to the end.
Mike Evans. And an amazing receiver. He has been over 1,000 yards pretty much his entire career. And last year, 67 catches, 1157, 8 touchdowns. I think he only played 13 games. His ADP is 22. And Tom Brady comes in, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, everyone. But is it? Just because you look at how that offense performed last year, Winston's just turning the ball over. They're letting them put points on the board. They're playing from behind. Winston's just chucking it up. I think they're going to be a much more efficient offense. I still think there's plenty of fantasy points to go around. I just don't know if it's going to be as exciting as everybody thinks.
So out of him and Godwin, you think Godwin's
I think Godwin
more likely
fits better with Brady
okay.
than Evans. But again, there's still going to be plenty to go around. But at 22,
it's going to be like the hitch route for Godwin and Brady just like.
At 22, it just scares me. I don't think it's a lock that offense all of a sudden is better. They were an amazing offense last year. I mean, in terms of fantasy, they put up a ton of points.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping I was going to be able to keep Winston.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see, but at 22, I'm not touching Mike Evans. But I think he'll still have a good year.
Yo, somebody tell Portnoy that he actually screwed Gurley's career, and that's great. I don't even think he realized that. He put the voodoo on him.
Well, there you go.
Little hex. Gimme.
So that's our bust list. Leave some comments. Misses it every time. Subscribe, like, notifications. Check out our cheat sheet. Give Brent a thumbs up. He needs it.
Please give me a thumbs up.